Well, a wonderful good morning to you, Melissa. Good morning, Bahamas. Melissa, it's all about business license renewal. Well, of course, in studio, Dexter Fernando from the Department of Inland Revenue. He's a senior revenue compliance officer. Good morning to you, Mr. Fernando.
Good morning, Melissa. Good morning, sir, and good morning, Bahamas.
Of course, Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. I feel the Saxon spirit in the place.
He's still feeling the rush, Melissa. And she's like, thank you. Of course, business license renewal. Melissa, she's a homeowner, a property owner. She's also, how should I put it? She has property on rent as well.
Okay.
Does she have to pay business license?
Okay.
Does she need a business license?
Well, let's go back to what the intent of the law is. I'm not going to be so legalese, but it says that anyone that has a taxable service, that you're in business where there is an exchange of funds, you need a business license. And so if you have that apartment that has more than 4 units and you're renting, that's a service people are providing, you need a business license.
Oh, so once it's more than 4 units?
More than 4 units, we actually come on in, register those properties so that we can the idea is not to tax everyone, but the idea is that we understand how taxes help to handle some of the activities that the local government need.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Now, let's get back up just a track. Exactly, in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, I want to know who really needs a business license.
Okay, so any entity conducting business within the Bahamas where there's an exchange of funds. And so if you're providing a good or a service, you need a business license, and that's required by the law. And so that's if you're selling food on the side of the road, if you have a occasional license, that's what we call occasional license, you're on a stakeout. Even if you're an entertainer, you're a speaker, and you go out and you doing MC for weddings where there's an exchange of funds. And so we have, generally we say that if there is an exchange of funds for the activity, you need a business license. Now, further on, we go into those exemptions in terms of if it's for charity, you still need a license, but you're exempted from the business license fees. So that's waived for you.
So you mean to tell me if I'm selling like lunch or food out of the back of my car,
certainly,
I need a business license?
Definitely. And so what we try to do is to make sure that the business license says that you are able to do the service, you have this name, secure this name, and you have passed the general requirements. You're eating food from someone. How do you know that they have their food and sanitation license, etc.? They're getting rid of the things in a proper way. Who do you go after if you have to sue someone? That's just my thing is, if you get poisoned today, who do you go after? You just say you bought the food at X or Y. So this is what the business license does. It tells me this is what you made last year, this is what you make now, and this is what you offer, and this is the service that you're providing. Think about it. If you go to get a tattoo, think about it. You're going to let your body go into the hands of someone that doesn't have clean needles? So the business license also tells me that the other regulated industries or agencies have done their part to approve that person for that year.
Interesting. Now, what about the newspaper vendor on the side of the street?
Yes. So they go and they purchase from the newspaper companies, and then they go out and they resell those at a price, right? And they give you a service. So that's a service they're providing, the location where they're providing, and everything. So that is why you have that increase in their pricing. That's what makes them marketable. And so everyone needs a business license.
Quite interesting. So even the phone card vendor, the peanut guy,
they should have a license. Now we know that there's the underground economy that we don't always capture, but we're asking that if you're in taxable service, we're providing a service or a good, you need a license. All right. If you eat those peanuts, who you get the peanuts from? Who do you go after? Or you just eat it and say, I had some bad peanuts, I'm not going to touch those peanuts again.
So even the crab I get from on the side of the street, those vendors, they need a business license as well?
Yes, and periodically you will see that the police officer is checking to see, we had all those people in our Bailey Park during the Christmas. They fall under the temporary business license. And guess what, Bahamas? It's only $25. You get an occasional license, and up to 1 week, you can get you can have a license and you operate. Now the thing is, only 4 times out of a year you can get an occasional license. So Valentine, you're on R.M. Bailey Park. Christmas, you're on R.M. Bailey Park. Easter, you're on R.M. Bailey Park, and then back to school, you're on R.M. Bailey Park. So that's $25 for every time that you do that. And so that fee helped to do of what we call the central government expenses. And I always talk about people who are Nassau-centric. If you ever go down to Acklands or in Andros, when you drop in a serious hole, you understand why taxes are important, paying these taxes, because they help us to get all of the necessary infrastructures needed for government, local government to facilitate what we do.
Indeed. So I need a business license. How simple is the process?
Very, very. We've made it very easy and accessible to not just Nassau, but all of the family islands. You can go to our webpage. We're computer savvy now, and the application is very easy. Just go on, just as you would go to do your credit card, or or even make a Facebook account. We ask you some general information. We verify the person, and then we go ahead. You upload your information. You don't even need to walk into our office anymore. You could do this from your home, in your shower, wherever you are. You could just on the beach. You could go ahead by even using your phone, your smartphone. Upload your necessary documents, submit the application, and guess what? You don't even have to come into the office to pay. You can do it by credit card, debit card. We even allow you to wire transfer for those who have large amounts. Or you could just go to any place, a commercial bank, and make your deposit. Now, we have given local administrators, I know we don't want to burden, hats off to the local administrators, but they've talked about the burden of all the things that they have to do on the island. And so only on those where there's what we call a cash district, there's no bank presence on the island, you can make your payment into the local administrator. So you have about 5 options right there.
So what about, say, someone on the family island, say grandma or grandpa who's into farming, they provide a service, they provide goods, but they're not computer savvy. They want to be compliant.
And we still offer that service where the local administrator would collect the application or assist them. In each of the local administrator's office now there's a computer where they can upload and assist you with the information. And guess what? We've made the renewal this year easier. Some of the requirements in the terms of getting the ease of doing business moving, we've relaxed in some of the things. So all we need now to know is what your turnover was last year. You can stop that long line in National Insurance. Stop everyone who's listening to me now. You don't have to get the compliance letter from National Insurance, what we normally ask for. You just submit your figure online, and then that's it. Let your fingers do the walking, submit their figures, and then we go from there. We can do everything from on the back end, what is necessary for you. So no longer go into X, Y, and Z. Just one-stop shop. Submit your application, and we'll do the rest for you.
You know, in the past, I know some business owners, they know the process was extremely tedious, so they would pay someone to go and do the service for them.
Exactly. And so that's what we're trying to help them to understand. We just want to get your information and let us do this stuff. We'll go to National Insurance for you. We'll check your real property tax for you. And that's what we call the tax compliance certificate vetting. And so once this year, all you need to do is submit your turnover for 2017, which you made through from January 1st to December 31st. And that's it. If your account is above, your turnover is above 100,000, of course, we require that the biker certification is included to certify that you made that amount. And it has to be someone who's from the registered list by the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants. And they're on their webpage, their list is posted. So Bahamas, before you go and get an accountant or a bookkeeper, make sure that they are members of the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountant, because only those members' information we will be accepting.
It sounds pretty good. Sounds like the process is oh so easy nowadays.
Yes, it's easy in 2018.
Indeed. Now, of course, you mentioned the process is very simple, very easy. What is the website for persons out there listening right now who want to go online and be compliant?
Good. It's www.inlandrevenue.finance.gov.bs, and you can email us at finance.gov.bs, or you can call us. We have a hotline. It's not 24 hours, but we have a hotline 225-7280. So you can call in at any time. From the Five Island, it's a toll-free call, so you can call and we'll be there to ask or help you, walk you through the process. We've created YouTubes on how to do. So once you're on the link on the web page, there are little helpful hints as you go, what is this? What do I need here? And we just help you with the process.
Interesting. Now, what about persons who don't pay VAT or don't charge VAT? They're like, you know, I don't have to pay the government. I don't take in the government's money. So why do I necessarily need a business license?
Yeah, because even though you're not paying VAT, that your turnover is not above 100,000. Like I said, the Act states that anyone that's in a taxable service, that you're providing a service, you need a business license. And so you need to just sit down and say, where am I getting the revenue? If I'm getting revenue from something, I must register that business, that activity. So we try to make it very easy. You know, you say mom and pop is making coconut tarts every weekend. But we want to say, okay, mom, I need a license. And guess what? If she's above 65, she's a retiree, she doesn't have to worry about the national insurance because she's already made that contribution. So it's just $100 she pays, and she's good to go to operate her store for the year. Get the inspection, and we're good to go.
So business license fees are not that expensive.
No, it's what we call a progressive tax, progressive consumption tax. So as you go into different brackets, it starts at $100 and it goes to a maximum of 1.25. So for the occasion license, it's $25, like I said earlier. So if you calculate it, if you only allowed 4 occasional licenses, you pay $100. That's as similar as if you were making a turnover of less than $50,000.
And you mentioned it goes up to 1.5?
1.25.
1.25.
So the amendment to the budget amendments 2017 lowered it down to 1.25.
And for grandma who's listening right now, who don't know what 1.25 means,
yes,
please explain that to us.
Just 1%, just 1% of whatever you make goes to the government. 1%. So church is 10%. We go lower than that. We go down to 1%. 1%.
Sounds good. Now, of course, you mentioned the church, and I wasn't going to go there, but since you mentioned the church, church is a business. Are they exempted?
Like I said, they fall under a list what we call religious entities, non-charitable organizations. The Act tells them that they need a business license, but they are waived from paying fees. And you would have seen last year where the Registrar General asked for them to file their documents there. So even though they do not pay a business license, they have an obligation to file their whatever they would have collected in revenues. And that's not to get into the church business, but that is to make sure that we know your customer rule. There's no money laundering happening inside the region. So we are regulating everybody. All right, we're not trying to get into anyone's business, but the Act states that if you're offering a service, so if you are the church, that's one thing. But if you are doing speaking engagements outside of the country, or if you have a book line, or I am Dexter Fernanda International and I travel and I'm receiving funds, how is that being cleared by the bank? You have to think of the implications. So you would just need a business license for that. We have seen some entities have moved into different things, parking lots, offering service, cooking service. So the traditional church has changed, and we're just moving with the times.
And so if I have a church and a school, am I exempted from paying the business license fees?
The school is not exempted because I'm sure if you look at your school, if you have anyone in a private school, they're paying fees. And so they have to submit a return. Now, if it depends on the structure. We'll make it as easy as that. It depends on what your articles say you are. Once you've submitted, your trustees came together and you've lodged your documents properly with the Registrar General, we then make a decision if you need a business license.
And is there a deadline for us to be filing these business license?
Certainly. So the business license renewal, January 31st is the deadline that all licenses should be submitted in. And then you'll be given extension. We give you a whole 2 months. You file by January 31st, and then you have to pay by March 31st. And then after March 31st, we give you some penalties. And so we don't want to talk about the penalties right now, but we want to encourage people to file and pay by March. All my straw vendors, everyone out there, hello, good morning. Let's file on time so we can not catch all those late fees.
Indeed. But of course, for the apartment owners out there, you said earlier that it has to be 4 units and above.
4 units and above, correct.
So once you have less than 4, so let's take it. I have 2 properties then. 3 on one and 2 on the other.
Yes.
Do I need a business license?
You need a business license.
How would you know?
Well, we have a whole section. I'm sure the real property tax section is going in. So we have the places zoned out. So we have people on the ground that are checking. We do sometimes door to door, but generally, I find the Bahamians talk on themselves. So we love Bahamians. They give us some information, etc. And someone will come and say, "Well, my property worth this, and this person across the road have apartments here." So we find out in very strange ways. But generally, typically, Bahamians only come into us when they're remortgaging, refinancing, and this is where we find out the information.
Indeed. Of course, persons wanting more information, can they walk into the Department of Inland Revenue and seek more information?
Certainly. We are located on Carmichael Road, the Department of Inland Revenue. But first thing, we encourage people, go to our webpage. We have some frequently asked questions, how to there. Follow us on Facebook. We have every day we're putting up YouTube clips.
What is the Facebook page?
The Facebook link is Department of Inland Revenue, DIR. And once you go play the DIR Bahamas, and once you see that, some general wonderful tips are out there for you to use.
You have to shout out all of the staff at the Department of Inland Revenue right now, especially those in studio.
Yes. The communication team, Antoine Francis, we've got here Cheryl Poitier, my whole call center, Theola, God bless you all. I know we can get a lot of phone calls today. Registration team, client services, and management. I want to say good morning, Department of Inland Revenue, and all our local administrators who are listening.
And of course, Department of Inland Revenue on Carmichael Road. The operating hours are from
9 to 5.
Hey, there you go. And of course, those in the Family Islands, there's information at your administration office as well. So definitely go in there. And of course, they can walk you through the process. A wonderful good morning is extended to you, Bahamas.